Sekeres and Price for Tuesday, January 6, 2026.
Getting that right. It's good.
We're a presentation of Bet365. Used to be able to say 2025 presentation of Bet365. It sounded symmetrical. So I'm mourning that a little bit.
You're mourning that?
We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota dealers.
If that's the top
studio.
of your morning list.
No, I know.
No.
It's a good life.
Yeah, it's a good life.
Here at the historic Wall Center, visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. .ca today.
Right. Vowel sounds.
Very nice bookends there. I'm Matt. He's Blake. Mike, all his Junos, hitting switches, conducting things. And we have an intern, Quinlan.
Welcome, Quinlan.
Quinlan Curry from BCIT. Another North Van guy. I'm surrounded by North Van guys. Gosh. We're going to have a discussion here about Canadian hockey, but I'll say this. North Van continues to produce sports media people. It's apparently what you do.
So does BCIT.
Fair.
Spent some time out there. There's
Fair.
a lot of sports fans in the BCIT program.
Tell them you went to do what do they call it? A BCIT?
It's a PAC meeting, and we just talked to the kids.
So there's a bunch of people on stage,
Quote, unquote,
BCIT grads who are from different walks of media life.
Yes.
And Blake got all the questions.
Me and Runtoul, we're both on the panel. Yeah.
That's right.
I felt a little bit bad.
Other panelists were like, does anybody want to speak to me? Oh, no, you do news. Boring.
Like Bhupinder from Global, Ethan from CTV. They're all, we're big hitters in the local news scene.
No.
They want to talk sports.
What do you think the Canucks are going to do?
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome to Quinlan, latest in our lineup. Very proud of our internship program here. Some have actually gone on to work in the media industry, sports media industry.
Yes, already. It's good.
Start with the daily poll question. Touched on this yesterday. We'll dive a little deeper today. Canada bronze at the World Juniors, so do get a medal. We're at risk of going 3 straight years without a medal. Are you worried about the state of Canadian hockey, Blake?
It's a very broad question. So
That's it. So there's many different ways one can answer this.
I'm not worried about the World Junior result, but I'm going to take it at its broadest. Are you worried about the state of Canadian hockey? And I am. The bronze medal has nothing to do with my worry. I've got a quartet of kids, 3 of whom played ice hockey. I'm a little less worried about girls hockey, but it's starting to adopt the boys mold, which is dangerous. And that is you are cutting off access to a much broader talent pool with the current model. For profit has become
because of the economic
pressure. There's a bunch of parents that are probably lying to themselves and saying, no, I don't think my kid's going to make it, but then act like they need to do X, Y, and Z because
put them in the stream as though they're going to make it.
Right.
Which is really what, junior hockey has preyed on for years.
Yeah. We know you're going to pay it, so we're going to ask you for a lot of money for it. And it's
send us your 16-year-old so we can put him on a bus between Brandon and Portland, and he chases the dream.
Yeah. And so I'm not worried about the bronze medal now, but here's the more that we chase this model, that this for-profit model, this capitalistic model of hockey, you are just limiting how many people play the sport. And when you limit how many people play the sport, you're going to get worse higher up the food chain.
And I've been hearing those concerns for a long time, not a parent myself, so I'm certainly not as familiar with the minor hockey environment as you would be, or as others who have been in the ranks or have had kids who have played hockey. I mean, we weed kids out at like 13, Blake.
Oh, yeah, if not before, yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm not sure the book from Rick Westhead, We Breed Lions, about the Canadian hockey developmental model. And yes, as it has gone to a more academy system. And I was speaking to someone last night who said, and I know a bunch of guys who were, at academies coaching there, even running it, and they recognize the flaws, but they're like, if we stop doing it, someone's just going to pick up and take over.
You can't be the bigger person because somebody will just take your...
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll add is...
I don't know what the fix is, to be fair. I don't know what the fix is.
Could you put in stricter rules about having to play in your community, like where you actually reside?
And the biggest
none of this getting an address in a different community so I can play.
Well, Matt, they've completely
my kid
they've abandoned that in Toronto. The GTHL, the melting pot
you can now go shopping for which team. Yeah. The other thing I want to highlight here is, and oh my God, you tweet this and you get all sorts of people in your mentions. Without even saying man-made, climate change is real. Our kids,
tell Joe Bowen.
Yeah. Our kids used to get more outdoor reps than they do now. That's probably not as acute here in southern British Columbia.
Because we had less of it anyway.
Because you had less of it anyway.
Yeah.
But for me, growing up in eastern Ontario, Quebec, Blake, we got home from school. We put our skates on. There was a backyard rink in the schoolyard behind my house. My dad and other dads in the neighborhood got the hose from the local fire department on cold nights, went and
flooded the field.
Flooded it.
Yep.
Made us a small little rink, basically the size of a basketball court. Used the basketball court. And we get home from school at 3:15, and we would play there till dark, till it was time to come in for supper.
Mm-hmm.
At my public school, there was an outdoor rink with boards and lights. So on Friday nights, if we didn't have a game, we would go play pickup there until 10 p.m. when they shut the lights. And then, of course, on weekends, you could play all day on either surface. And here's the important part. You could play for free. All you needed were a pair of skates and a stick, and somebody brought a puck.
And you play forever, too.
Oh, forever. Like 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. on a Saturday.
I'd come in sweating when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was unbelievable. And people might think it's just hokey and we're falling in love with a Rockwellian sort of image. That's true, too. But that's not what we're talking about.
Very, very few Canadians, compared to what the legend and lore would be, have actually skated on naturally frozen ice.
Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, and I remember this is a true story, I probably have told this once before. I remember going to visit my brother who lives in the Kootenays, where they still can do it. And we played outdoor hockey probably 4 times over a course of 10 days being there.
Mm-hmm.
We came back, and both of their hockey coaches, my 2 younger girls, both of them asked me what academy I had them in over the holidays. And I said, no academy.
No academy.
They're like, they're playing like animals out there. I was like, yeah, because they were on outdoor ice playing and having fun for 4 days. And they were that much better as a result of just one, like that's one week of doing it. Never mind a lifetime of it. So
when I moved here 18 years ago, Blake, and in part because I was done with minus 25 for, days and weeks on end, and people used to tell me they skated on Lost Lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think they were pulling my leg.
They used to get a little rental hut going.
You're having you're having some fun with the guys from Ontario. And then I just kept hearing that more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Then remember we had that one really cold winter. I don't know if it was like 10 years ago. It was right around this time, if I'm not mistaken.
Like 12, I think, yeah.
And we were doing the radio show, and we asked people to send us in photos of them playing outdoor hockey, and the response was amazing. And you could just see the joy in everyone's face. And I was talking to our buddy Yerke yesterday, he who finds all our errors and omissions, and he was saying to me, as a 18-year-old kid from Vancouver who went to school in Montreal, like getting dropped into an environment where I could play outdoor pickup on a Friday night. He goes, that was really cool stuff. And he was like, holy cow, were they good?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, they got all those outdoor free reps. Here's the bottom line. Just across the country, and of course, most Canadians live near a major city, and most major cities are near the 49th parallel. Might be a little different in Edmonton, Saskatoon, but it is very difficult to maintain outdoor ice. Now, in some cases, you've got some technology that's come around and has helped the backyard rink, but it is very difficult to maintain and have a consistent number of skating days on the outdoor ice, because here's the thing. Okay, let's say it's 20 below for a week and a half, whatever it is, and you've got that great, nice ice surface. The next thing you know, a day's going to come around where it's like 2 or 3 degrees. And suddenly now that ice gets all melted and chopped up, and it's never the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's a big festival in Ottawa, Winterlude, where the idea is people go and skate on the Rideau Canal, the world's largest skating rink. There are a lot of days now during that festival in February where people actually cannot skate on the canal. It's too warm. The ice has been beaten up. So I think we're missing that as well, and those are sort of my concerns. From a talent level, no, I am not all that concerned. I mean, look at some of the kids we've just produced. Connor Bedard, Macklin Celebrini, Matthew Schaefer. These are absolute...
2 of whom were eligible to play in this tournament.
Exactly. These are 1A studs. And it's going to continue. Okay, maybe Gavin McKenna isn't of that level. We'll have that conversation here in a second. But I saw this tweet from Evaluator. Here's some of the kids who are on the way. Some of these names you may not have heard of, but underline the forward here, Alexei Joseph from Quebec and Landon Dupont from Calgary, who's playing in the WHL. These are the 2 kids who are vying to be the top picks in the 2027 NHL draft. I was talking to a hockey scout before Christmas who had seen Landon Dupont and said, like, what Macklin Celebrini is to forwards, Landon Dupont is to defensemen. He is the truth. He is going to be that level of a number 1 NHL defenseman. Some of these names we've talked about, Maddox Schultz, Liam Pugh, Lower Mainland connections there for the 2010s, if I can use you and Jeff Merrick parlance, calling them by their birth year. So, look, I think there is a good number of young Canadian hockey players who are either just starting their NHL career, about to start their NHL career, or not too far away from starting their NHL career. That is less of a worry for me, but I do think it is notable because we miss players from the World Juniors each and every year. There's always a handful, maybe it's only a couple, of Canadian 18, 19-year-olds who are playing in the NHL and unavailable to our World Junior program. But the point is that we have overcome that. Year after year, there are very few swaths of 3 years in Canadian World Junior history where we're not winning a gold or playing for the gold. And that has changed this year. And so it's notable. It's particularly notable because the previous time this happened was 2012 through 2014, a bronze medal and a pair of 4th places. So there have been 2 different 3-year periods over the last 13 years where we haven't even competed for gold. And again, that has happened very infrequently. In fact, I think it has only happened one other time in the history of the World Juniors, which now goes back 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's different qualities. Like, if Michael Misa wasn't allowed to play from the San Jose Sharks, I mean, you know, it's Michael Misa. He's a very good player, but he's not Macklin Celebrini. Like, if Macklin Celebrini's allowed to play, like, that changes the equation. If Matthew Schaefer's allowed to play, that changes the equation. And considering the state of the defense right now, I think if Sam Dickinson was allowed to play, that might have changed the equation,
I think Dickinson would have made a big difference.
Yeah.
By the way, Misa, I'm not sure I saw it.
No, exactly.
Like McKenna.
Yeah.
Fair enough, Blake, but that level of player has almost never played in the World Juniors at 18 or 19.
No, but
that level of player has played at the World Juniors at 17, in some cases 16 if they're really good.
Yeah.
But that stands for the Ovechkins and the Malkins too, right? Like those players, great prospects from other countries who have gone directly to the NHL or have done their draft plus 1 year and then gone to the NHL as 19-year-olds. That level of player is almost a category of its own. The Dickinsons, the Berkeley Cattons,
yes.
the Ben Kindles, that level of player missing for Canada this year, whereas in previous years maybe you get more of those players. That is something that's reality. The Uber prospect is not.
But to have two, like it's one thing to have one of those guys. They're
fair enough.
Schaefer and Macklin are both transcendent prospects.
Yes.
Well, transcendent players. I think we stopped calling them prospects now.
Yeah. I mean, Schaefer went from prospect to player like that.
Well, yeah.
And I got to admit, and in part because he got hurt last year, I didn't see him at the World Juniors, and he didn't play a whole lot of hockey. So, I relied on guys like Cam Robinson, Dave Hall, and others, who watch prospects to let me know the real with some of these guys. Merrick. I was like, okay, what's the big deal about him? And they were like, he's a really, really great skater, like a plus level skater. And holy cow, watching him now in the NHL and just the way he glides around NHLers, Blake.
Well, but he's got tenacity too. And I don't mean physicality, but his compete is so high.
And he wants to get to the guts of the ice, as Tocchet would say.
See, Tom Brady was...
Yeah, I saw Tom Brady shouted him out. Yeah,
wants him to
was asked about
for his brand.
Young up-and-coming athletes that intrigue him, and his first name was Matthew Schaefer. I think he did an event in New York and was around.
Well, he's got a sports brand, and they were talking about who represents the brand or who would you like to represent the brand. He says, well, and that was one of the names he brought
even
up.
Said, you may not know the name, but Matthew Schaefer.
Yeah.
The thing I love him, he'll go wide, he'll dip the shoulder and come to the center. Remember Bo?
Mm-hmm.
He's got that Bo Horvat bull rush move to the center.
Although a third of his weight, maybe,
All right, so there you go. Are you worried about the state of Canadian hockey? You can vote yes, you can vote no. Do so at the Sekeres and Price X and YouTube channels. Let's get to our top story. It's brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. Out from the Canucks auspices and plight and under the rings in Italy. So is the respite for a trio of Canucks named to their Olympic teams today. So we knew Elias Pettersson was going to represent Sweden. We knew Kevin Lankinen was going to represent Finland. But today, Canucks team MVP this year, Filip Hronek, and centerman David Kampf named to Czechia's Olympic team. I got it. I was this close to calling them Czech Republic. Czechia's Olympic team. Filip Chytil not on the list.
Not a surprise.
He's on the comeback trail. I wondered if they would put him on the list with the ability to replace him later, or maybe they're looking at it vice versa.
Vice versa, maybe.
In terms of if Filip Chytil shows he's healthy and is able to play in February, then we'll have an injured guy replaced, or maybe somebody comes down with something.
We're Jan 6 now. I think it's possible he plays in the next week.
He's on this trip. He's been skating.
So if he plays by the 12th, he's got about 2
that's
weeks.
Ambitious.
What do you mean? You don't think he's playing by the 12th? I think he might be. But he's had the non-contact off for almost a week now, hasn't he?
I was in the non-contact.
Is he still in the non-contact? Okay.
I will look that up for you.
But I think he needs 3 weeks of hockey before he could be an injury replacement. So it's pretty touch and go. I don't know that there's enough runway there for him. More on the international rosters coming up.
Yeah. Teddy Bluger named to Latvia's team. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Latvia does not have a full complement of NHLers, so anybody who is an NHL player from Latvia is on this team. And he skated this morning in a non-contact jersey in advance of this Canucks game in Buffalo. So he's on the comeback trail, and he sounds like he's going to be good to go for the Olympics.
Yeah.
He's got enough runway left here.
Well, and again, it's runway they have to deal with because they don't have the depth. They don't have anybody else to choose from. So, that makes a lot of sense.
Teddy Bluger. Do you know how many games he has played this year?
Teddy Bluger. I'll say 6.
2.
Is it really?
2 games. He's got a goal, too. He's shooting 50%. Probably not sustainable.
No, probably not.
Averaging just shy of 16 minutes, too. So, yes, 31-year-old Teddy Bluger to the Latvian Olympic team. Of course, could have been Arters. Well, for our purposes, could have been Artie as well.
Well, I also thought that maybe there was a half chance that the Latvian down on the farm,
what is it?
Henri Ravinskis, might get a chance because he did play at the Worlds, but a few other players are available now. So.
And, of course, ex-Canucks have made Olympic teams as well. We talked about Bo Horvat last week, getting named to that Canadian team, making one of the best rep teams in the world, right? U.S. men's and women's basketball, New Zealand All Blacks, Canadian men's and women's hockey teams. I mean, you can put a few others on there, but some of the most difficult teams to make the world over. And Blake Oliver Ekman Larsson is a Swedish Olympian. He's having a good year.
Yeah.
And as JPAT notes, remarkable redemption arc here since the Canucks bought him out a couple of years ago. He goes to the Florida Panthers. He wins a Stanley Cup. And now he's playing well for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Blake, to the point where Oliver Ekman Larsson would be tied with Philip Hronek atop Vancouver Canucks scoring right now.
Amongst, I believe the wording was...
PD as well.
I believe the wording was, amongst players being paid by the Vancouver Canucks this season, of which he is.
Yeah.
He's their team's leading point.
He's got 25 points. He's tied with Hronek and Petey.
Another little tidbit about Teddy Bluger making the team, by the way. He adds the S going back to the Latvian national team.
You know what? Blugers or Teddies? Both S's?
Blugers for sure. And yes, it is Theodore's S plural too. Plural, not plural.
See, because Teddy came over, he dropped the S's from the back of each name.
Yeah. So he's not Teddy Bluger.
Because if you knew him as a prospect,
Theodore's
he was Teddy's Blugers.
Yeah.
And then he became Teddy Bluger from Minnesota.
Yes, exactly.
Here's the other thing about Ekman Larsson, OEL. He played in the last Olympics. He played in Sochi in 2014. In fact, he was a real dude on the Swedish team in 2014. Remember they played Canada for gold? He was 3 assists in 6 games. We talked about Sidney Crosby, Drew Doughty for the Canadian team. Go 12 years back and played on that Olympic team. Everyone else on Canada, no Olympic experience. I haven't gone fine-tooth through the Swedish team, but I can't imagine there are a lot of guys who played for the 2014 Olympic team.
No.
So like he's old man Perrin Noel for the Swedish team.
But he's playing well.
You can't take it away from him.
It's proof that he earned his way onto the team.
Yeah, he did. And look, I'm not sure there would have been a lot of people who would have had him down for that, Blake, after he left the Canucks following the 22-23 season. It was 22 points in 54 games. He was a -24. Now, of course, the Canucks were a dreadful defensive team down here. But he was a -24. He goes to Florida. He rebounds with a 32-point season, plays in 24 playoff games, wins the Stanley Cup, and then off to the Leafs where he had a fine year last year, 29 points. 29 and 77 last year, Blake. He's 25 and 41 this year.
If he didn't leave, that means you don't get Connor Garland and all that. Are they better off with or without him? If that same redemption arc would have happened in a Canucks uniform, which it probably would not have.
No.
he needed greener grass and
Yes.
all that. But let's assume he redeems himself to be a reasonable defensive defenseman and 30 to 35 point. Are they better off with that $8.5 million tied up? I don't know that they are.
So at the time, it had to happen. At the time, I was whatever happens from here with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, it wasn't working in Vancouver, and more importantly, they were so desperate for cap space, they had to make the move, painful as it was. So I supported it in the moment. I will stick with that. But yeah, needless to say, a 50-point defenseman, if that's what Oliver Ekman-Larsson is going to be this year, goddamn right that would help.
I guess my point
Holy
is,
cow.
It's not an obvious, they should regret that move. Like, I don't think you regret that move just because he's had these better years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Connor Garland's their leading point getter at times this season.
Yeah. Winter doesn't slow you down. Your drink shouldn't either. Meet the Yellow Dog Spirits Hi There Hard Iced Tea Mix Pack. You can choose between lemon, peach, raspberry, and classic lemonade. Crisp, refreshing, and easy to enjoy after a day on the slopes, the rink, or the couch. Mike's a big fan of the...
he loves
it.
They disappear rather quickly.
Exactly. We don't ever see them here in the studio. If they get into the Yellow Dog fridge, they're gone instantaneously. My better half loves those as well. And speaking of the slopes, I bumped into our dear friend Al Chrismanson, the general manager, director of golf at the Whistler Golf Club. He was telling me about phase 1 of their renovation, which went swimmingly well. And he says, well, I very much anticipate seeing a lot of Blake Price and the family Price up here this winter because of the amount of snow they're getting in winter.
Got puked on last night, too.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, he mentioned that. He said, I think we're going to have a good night here of snow. And, of course, a couple of weeks ago, just prior to the holidays, I mean, they were calling for a record amount of snow in Whistler. Apparently all winter long, it's going to be a hell of a ski season.
It was slow to get to the valley, but the top's in great shape.
The other thing he was telling me is that the other mountains in this part of the world haven't been as fortunate if you go down Utah, Colorado way. And
they were slow. They eventually got a big dump.
Whistler has been just cup full.
Banff did really well, too.
Oh. Let's get into Crave the Stats, brought to you by Uber Eats. And today we're going to look at NHL team. We're going to get to the Canucks here in a second, some small moves yesterday and point forward. But NHL teams with the most Olympians, Blake.
Well, first of all, you might think the Canucks are craving Olympians. They aren't craving Olympians. They've got 6 Olympians. That's actually top half of the league. 6 is a pretty good amount, which might shock you for the 31st place team in the National Hockey League. Who's got the most Olympian? Not Canadian Olympians.
Hold on.
General Olympians.
Pettersson, Lankinen, Roenick, Kampf. Who am I missing?
Shilovs. Oh, sorry, not Shilovs. He's gone now.
Yeah.
I've just eliminated the link after you.
Bluger?
No, I said Bluger. Bluger, Kampf, Roenick, Lankinen, Pettersson. Who am I missing?
I'll have to bring it back up.
Okay.
Anyhow, it is
No
6. The record, though, if you will, the leaders right now, and I guess these are subject to change based on injuries and a change in rosters. Right now, the 2 Florida teams, and you might get a little bit jaded, think, oh, well, that's Cooper. He gets to well, Cooper only took 3 of his own, to be fair. But look at the other Olympians that they've got on both of these sides. Now, there's some down roster guys. Uvis Balinskis is not going to move the needle for a lot of you on the Latvian team via the Florida Panthers. But we're now into a state here, pardon the pun, where the state of Florida is dominating global hockey, Matt. 18 Olympians between the 2 teams.
Yeah.
It's a little depressing. The talent that's been assembled
Here's
in the Sunshine State.
Here's what I will say. If you were anyone but FLA, and I'm close to being anyone but FLA, don't feel quite as strongly as anyone but VGK. That one's in another stratosphere for me. But they've done a lot of winning, and I'm pretty much done with them winning. Lou got his ring, was very happy for Roberto Luongo to get that sort of shine. It's not that I think they play boring hockey, but it's not the most aesthetically pleasing hockey. I mean, when you're talking about Stanley Cup champions and multiple times Stanley Cup champions, repeat winners,
it's not Jacques Lemaire, but
yeah,
I mean,
you tend to be talking about some of the most stylish teams in the history of the game, right? Like whether you're talking Mario's Penguins or Wayne's Oilers or the Islanders dynasty, the
Montreal.
old 70s Canadians, Flying Frenchmen. The Panthers are not of that ilk. I'm not necessarily against Tampa Bay because I really, really like John Cooper. I like him as a person. I like him as a coach. I love him as a communicator. He's a Prince George, BC guy. So I'm just as if it's got to be a head coach. Of all the head coaches out there, I'm happy to see him lift a cup. But they've done some winning too. This does not bode well for the Lightning or Panthers the rest of the way, Blake.
Just in terms of wear and tear?
Yeah. You don't want guys playing in these high-level games, emptying the tank for their country.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You don't want that. And to think they could have had Sam Bennett, too.
That's right.
He easily could have been an Olympian. So some even were wondering about Ekblad as an Olympian.
Are you worried about the wear and tear on Lucas Reichel? He's the 6th.
That's right, Lucas Reichel. How did I forget? Because he's down in the minors right now, but he is on the German team.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I saw a lot of Lucas Reichel when he was masquerading as Canucks second-line centerman. There was very little wear and even less tear.
The Canucks are
I'll leave it at that.
Not craving more Olympians. 6 is pretty good.
Polite.
But if you're craving something to do, it's a dinner time game tonight versus the Sabres. You don't want to cook during the game.
We're eating early here.
No. What do you mean? Game's 4 to 6:30?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You mean like first intermission?
Yeah. You don't want to be cooking, rushing a 15-minute preparation. Just skip it. Go and get your Uber Eats deal of the day. Paper plates, napkins if you're having people over so you don't have to do dishes as well. Before, during, and after game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long.
The Vancouver Canucks have hired former NHL defenseman Jack Johnson as a pro scout. There's a lot of history here between Jack and president of hockey operations Jim Rutherford. Rutherford selected him 3rd overall in the 2025 entry draft when he was managing the Carolina Hurricanes. That said, he was moved and began his NHL career with the LA Kings. Rutherford later reacquired him with the Pittsburgh Penguins. It did not work out. And in fact, that's one of the contracts and one of the deals that Penguins fans were real sore about. That was viewed as such a gaffe that Rutherford was asked about it in his opening presser here in Vancouver. Now, in fairness, Johnson went on to play several hundred more games in the NHL after his Pittsburgh experience, but he bounced around Rangers, Avalanche, Blackhawks, Blue Jackets, second tour with the Blue Jackets as well. Noteworthy on Jack Johnson, he was the only NHL player to make his way to Vancouver on his own expense to walk in the opening ceremonies of the 2010 Vancouver Whistler Olympic Games. He was a member of Team USA, and I can remember meeting him. I forget where we did it, but he did a media conference after walking in the opening ceremonies, or maybe it was before, I forget, where he basically said, I was not going to miss this for the world. Are you kidding me? A chance to walk in under the rings with all these exceptional athletes who are both from my country but around the world, and have that experience from the stadium floor, watching the torch be lit, all those. Of course, the torch didn't go quite as planned. But I was like, hey, good on you, Jack. And he chartered a private plane, Blake, and he left the game. I forget if they were in L.A., Anaheim, somewhere in California. He raced off to this private airfield to get on the plane with some family members to fly up to Vancouver to be able to make it in time for the opening ceremony.
And I don't want to diminish Jack Johnson's career here. He was a decent player for sure. But I wonder if it's character like that makes people want to give him a chance, right?
Yep.
He declared bankruptcy in 2014. He lost millions to his parents' mismanagement of his earnings.
There was quite a story there. Yes.
Had to start from scratch. And I wonder if signings like Jim Rutherford's it's a good guy. I want to give him a second chance. I want to give him the chance to get on his feet. And
he's had some life experience. God knows he could talk to some of these NHLers.
Yeah.
About, well, as Marchand would say, handling your chicken.
Yeah.
Once you get to the bigs and you start making that sort of money, you're going to make a lot more friends. People are going to want to be around you.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have agendas. So, yeah. Anyways, interesting. We'll see if his career in the scouting and management world, right? He was an interesting personality and character, too, Jack Johnson, as I remember it. He didn't march to the same drumbeat of your typical NHLer.
The Olympic story is proof of that.
More on that in a second, yes. Okay, Kiefer Sherwood trade watch. And we're going to talk to Dreger here in a moment. Most people are of the conclusion that the Canucks exchanging numbers or making an offer, however you want to phrase it, to Sherwood and his agent earlier this week, I guess it would be this year, was just the Canucks due diligence pressure point for would-be suitors, that sort of thing. And apparently the agent is aware of a lot of interest in Kiefer Sherwood out there across the league. Sadiar Shah saying he thinks they already would have moved him if a first-round pick was offered. I think that's probably right. Frank Saravelli thinking his return will be in the second round range. Like, in what world does Mason Marchment go for a second and third, second and fourth?
Yeah.
And Kiefer Sherwood only a second? Can't be.
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think people keep on waiting for Kiefer Sherwood to fail a little bit so they can get him cheaper. I think.
Well, he did have that stretch of 10 without a goal.
And he's back to being a little bit lean again. Like, it would behoove Kiefer Sherwood and the Vancouver Canucks to score a couple goals in this road trip maybe. And I mean, the minute he gets to 20, like Matt, if he can get to 20 by the end of this road trip, that would be, a goal every other game. It's a lot to ask. But if he can get a little bit warm here, the minute you've got 20 goals beside your name before the Olympic break, like, enough of the second round pick stuff. Like, come on. In what world does
He's
mid-season
on a great contract.
20 goal? Yeah.
He's a unicorn. Like, Tanner Jeannot went for fucking 7 draft picks. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And a new name has entered the chat a week after his healthy scratching. And we mentioned yesterday the strong response from Jake DeBrusk, who has had 3 excellent games since that scratching. But his name has popped up in his hometown of Edmonton, of course, where his father, Louis, calls Oilers games for Sportsnet. Here's our colleague Jason Dreger on his radio show in Edmonton yesterday. This is courtesy of Sports 1440 Edmonton.
One name spec. Now, this would be a significant deal, but the name that I've heard out there a bit that people are, and because you know what? Teams talk, and just because you talk doesn't mean anything occurs.
Yep.
But Jake DeBrusk in Vancouver, it hasn't worked out there for him. Now it looks like they're kind of going into a rebuild. I don't think that's what he signed up for. And he does have a say in where he goes, not a complete say, but he has a no movement clause. I don't know if he'd waive it to come to Edmonton. I guess I could ask his dad, but it's kind of a personal question. But either way, you look at that, and I just wonder here. I think Stan Bowman's got a lot of balls up in the air looking to try to improve his team.
And I can understand that. Now, Edmonton does have a cap situation that they would have to. I mean, it's a $5.5 million salary, and the Canucks aren't retaining on it because it's still many, many years remaining here. So
if you had something else attached to it, obviously, like maybe a next year's first-round pick.
It's 5 years after this one for DeBrusk. It's a no move this year, next year, and then it's a modified 15-team no-trade list starting in 2027. Sorry, Blake.
If Edmonton attached their 2027 first to Andrew Mangiapane, would you take on the remaining year of Mangiapane?
Yeah, I've heard they want to get rid of him. Absolutely want out of the Mangiapane game. They're done eating the bread.
3.6, and he has not been good this year.
No, he is not.
But he's only 29. It's not out of the realm of possibility he finds some level of game again.
Somehow he's got a no-trade clause too? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, remember, it's
only a 5-team no-trade
It's
list,
a one-time 35-goal scorer, and he's only 29. So, again, it is possible. He's not fleet of foot, but it is possible he finds some level.
It's only a 5-team no-trade list.
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
So it's itty-bitty.
So something like that would make it work for DeBrusk, is my point.
Oh, hold on a second.
Are you making an error and an omission?
No. Modified no-trade clause, June 16th, 2026. Oh, yeah. It's a full no-trade now. It's down to a 5-team no-trade later this year. Although, I mean, if he's not wanted there, how do you say no to Vancouver?
That's right. He's not playing right now. He's sitting in the press
Absolutely.
box.
Would I do Mangiapane in their first-round pick for Jake DeBrusk?
2027.
Right.
First round.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't do that?
No. Well, because I think that pick is going to be very late in the round.
Yeah.
And I think Jake, even if he's, still the streaky guy who's only a 40-some point, 20-some goal guy, I think he's going to look better and better at $5.5 million going forward.
That's what I've been saying, yeah. I mean,
and we discussed it yesterday. He's probably, he's 29. He is what he is. But I could also see him having an outlier season where things go well, the puck's flying in the net, it's a 55, 60-point guy.
Yep.
And I can understand why his name has come up. You get healthy scratched on a ticket like that. That's first place that people jump to, right? Oh, okay. Trouble in paradise. Listen to Dreger later in the show, though. I do think there is some buyer's remorse from Canucks management on DeBrusk. This from Adam Kiersonblatt, something to pay attention to. We're January 6th here. They have made a significant trade in January each of the last 3 seasons. It was the JT Miller, Marcus Pettersson, Dosaido last year on January 31st. Previous year, Elias Lindholm, of course, came to town in the big deal with Calgary. And then, of course, Bo Horvat to the New York Islanders the previous January. So, eyes and ears open here. Jim Rutherford tends to be a January mover when it comes to the trade market and not wait till the last minute and the deadline in March. What do you make of Luke Hughes getting booed by the New Jersey Devils faithful?
Well, he is having an ordinary season at best. And he takes up a lot of cap space. He's got a big contract. And I think also there might be a sense that the Canucks traded Quinn Hughes to Minnie. He could enjoy a lot of success there. And now Luke isn't helping the Devils be as an attractive an option as he could be. The better the Devils are, the more attractive an option he is for Quinn. And now they might be saying, we got 4 teams to jump to get into a playoff position now all of a sudden. Luke's not helping the matter. And Quinn's going to say, you know what? This is pretty fun in Minnesota. I'm okay here.
Yeah.
And so their dream of reuniting the Hugheses and having them all under one roof is probably not looking great. So I think there's a little bit of that too. But at the very basic level, he's not having a good year.
The one thing that I think we could absolutely dispel from the conversation when it comes to Quinn and whether he's going to re-sign with Minnesota or want to join his brothers, he will not be, quote unquote, bigfooting his younger brother Luke down the lineup and stealing his job running the power play. If Luke just isn't that good, sorry, son.
Yeah. It's not a conversation.
You're not the droid we're looking for there.
No.
We're not winning with you in this role, so you're going to have to play more of a support role.
No, he's not excelling in that role. That's not a conversation he's had. If Quinn Hughes is
now,
there,
I
Quinn
know
Hughes is doing it.
Friedman mused, if you're Bill Guerin and you hear the booze for Luke Hughes, do you pick up the phone
Yes,
and you make the
that
call?
was an explosive comment by Elliot.
I mean, knowing Wild Bill, I think he must have. And the other thing is Fitzy's getting Fitzy, of course.
Yeah, everybody calls him
Everybody
Fitzy.
calls him Fitzy. Tom Fitzgerald, Devils GM. He has not done any kind of media availability in quite a while, and the natives are getting restless there.
Well,
And that's New York City media, right? Like where
they were top of the division.
if you're hiding, those guys are. You just wait for the questions when you are available. If you're thought to be hiding and trying to duck the New York City media.
Well, it's a dog-eat-dog conference right now. They are currently, as I said, 4 teams to jump. But in the blink of an eye, they are 3 points up on the last place Blue Jackets in the conference, and the Jackets have a game in hand. Like in the blink, you lose 2 games, two more games in a row. The Devils could be last place in the conference in the blink of an eye.
Yep. Canada wins bronze at the World Juniors, defeating Finland 6-3 in the bronze medal game yesterday. Gavin McKenna with a goal and 3 assists to finish the tournament with a strong 14 points. That is 2 behind teammate and tournament leader. Second behind tournament leader Michael Hage. Hage, a Canadian forward and Montreal Canadiens draft pick. For all the consternation about McKenna, and look, it was 10 points in the 6 games that mattered, right? I guess a medal was at stake yesterday. You could say it mattered. Blah, blah, blah.
Matters. Come on.
But I feel it's a little bit of empty calorie, fattened up in a game that, let's face it, that's not the Canadian goal to play for bronze. But most points from a draft-eligible Canadian at a World Junior. Big Head Hockey here with the graphic. Connor Bedard with 23, just 3 years ago. Blake and I are old enough to remember Eric Lindros trucking people at the 91 World Juniors. I have never seen a player pop off the television like Eric Lindros as a 16, 17, 18, 19, whatever you want to say.
A bully.
I saw him play live a number of times growing up in Ontario, and he was a sight to behold. And then he would get on television at the World Juniors against his age group, and it was like, who invited Dad?
Yeah, it was mean.
John Tavares with 15 points in 2009, a Canadian gold medal winning team. And 14 points for Joe Murphy, 14 points for Gavin McKenna. So good, but not Bedard, not Lindros, not Tavares. And maybe we were guilty of holding him to too high of a standard. Perhaps he is not that level of prospect. Like I covered that 09 tournament. John Tavares looked every bit the first overall pick. Eric Lindros did not spend a day of his life where he looked anything but the first overall pick. Some of that was size. Connor Bedard, there was very little question about him being first overall.
One comparison I've heard, and it's starting to feel a little bit accurate, is
Lafreniere.
Yeah, Lafreniere.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to believe that because we were told how deep the top handful of players have been.
Well, I also want to believe Lafreniere is better than. Now, to be fair, Connor McDavid 11 points in the World Junior at this age. Lafreniere 10, Sidney 9, your boy Howardchuk 9, Macklin just 8. So,
yep, that's sobering. Yep, okay.
I mean, Nathan McKinnon 1.
Yeah.
Sometimes it has to do with role, though. Gavin McKenna was in a forward role for this team all tournament long. This was not a team teaming with 19-year-old offensive superstars
that he had to bow to. You mean?
That's right.
Yeah.
So that context matters too.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that a lot of those
really great correct collection of forwards, all of them with first-round pedigree. So in that case, you could say, hey, well, he beat out. He got more ice time than a bunch of these other guys. Okay, fair enough. A few ways to look at it. As for Braden Coots, our buddy Dave Hall from Canucks Army here with the tweet. Over 7 games, he averaged 8 minutes, 48 seconds of ice time. 2 goals, including a goal yesterday in the bronze medal game, first period. 7 shots. Expected to not only be back, but play a bigger role in 2027. I have seen a bunch of Canucks fans who are in the comments on this Canadian returning players and going, no, Coots will be in the NHL. He started this year in the NHL. He looked great in preseason. He did not look like an NHL player in NHL regular season games.
And he can play in the AHL next year.
You are going to be able to assign one 19-year-old to your AHL team starting next year.
So, I'm thinking that's going to be a great option for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah. If you're the Canucks, do you release them to the Canadian World Junior teams, or you want them to play AHL, or you make that call as you?
Yeah, okay. You got to feel it out.
Sweden wins gold. Shout out to all our Swedish friends. We have a Swedish friend named Anders, and he doesn't lack for. He can lead with his chin from time to time.
I poked the bear with him a little bit.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't lack for. He's not shy. And so he's texting us during the game about, why isn't this being made a bigger deal of? Why isn't this guy getting more shine? Blah, 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 blah. If they were Canadian, and Blake responded, if they were Canadian, they'd have a lot more gold medals. You're such a shit, but I loved it. Anton Frondel was fantastic at this tournament, the 3rd overall pick in last year's draft to the Chicago Blackhawks. He'll be a Connor Bedard teammate next year. He was outstanding in this tournament, but so were a bunch of the other Swedes like Stenberg, and we had the conversation about him yesterday. My, oh my, what a player, that young kid. I mean, that is a 17, 18-year-old Blake. Stenberg was 7 points in 6 games in the tournament. Frondel was 8 points in 6 games.
We've talked about the comparisons for Stenberg based on his SHL stats. Daniel Siding and Peter Forsberg, the only guys that have been close to his SHL stats at this age. But that's too lofty to say. He's guaranteed to be Daniel Siding or Peter Forsberg. Too lofty.
Oh,
if I were to say,
we're a long way from those two.
If I were to say, it's pretty safe to say he's Adrian Kempe.
That's a very good player.
Like, are you happy enough with that? If you give up on the dream of McKenna's top end, but you're pretty much guaranteed at least Adrian Kempe, are you good enough with that?
Yeah. Well,
what did Kempe
now?
do?
Kempe's a bigger boy, should be said, but so I'm just looking at
where was Kempe drafted, though?
Oh, I believe it was the second round.
Well,
no, 29th overall.
29th? Okay.
Right at the end of the first round. Kempe's best year so far is 75 points. It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
His best goal-scoring year was 41 3 years ago. He has gone over the last 5 years 46, 55. Sorry, let me rephrase. He has gone over the last 5 years 54, 67, 75, 73, and this year he's 34 and 41, so on pace for 68. And another 30-goal year. That would be his 4th 30-goal year. That's a damn good player. That's a first-line winger.
And are you happy enough with that at first overall if you get it?
I'm not going to sit the fence here, but it depends on the class.
Right. Who you missed out on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, that's your.
And oftentimes that doesn't reveal itself till years
you don't
later.
know.
Right? So, like, I always, how did so-and-so fall to the second round or the third round? Shea Weber. Yeah. Well, we did this sometimes with Steve Nash. Oh, why didn't the Grizzlies take Steve Nash with the top 5 pick they spent on, was it Francis Daniels, whoever it was? Well,
Daniels, I think, yeah.
Because when every NBA team sat down at that draft floor, there was nobody who was going to take Steve Nash there.
Mm-hmm.
There was industry consensus that he wasn't a top 5 or top 10 guy. Now, if you want to say, why didn't they, find a way to get another first-round pick and take him later in the round? Completely fair.
Mm-hmm.
So would I be happy? Boy, a player like Adrian Kempe would be outstanding for the Canucks. Canucks prospect Wilson Bjork Wins a gold medal. His brother Vigo looked fantastic. He's draft eligible as well. I know some are thinking, oh, that Canucks second first-round pick, the Minnesota pick. Is there any chance that Vigo Bjork falls there? Could you move up?
But that's where the third pick is. If the Canucks can get the
Sherwood pick,
a middling, mid-teens pick, you got a chance at him there.
I also want to shout perhaps our favorite name in Canucks world, Basil Sansonens of Switzerland, whom we shouted earlier in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And hear from Daniel G on the scout. Obviously tall, but heavy too, with range that he uses aggressively. Hard to break through when he widens his base and boxes out. He takes away sticks. Lots of defensive detail. I like his mobility too. He's a defensive defenseman, to be sure. But he had a goal. He had an assist in 5 games this year for Switzerland, who don't score. I mean, they're not a juggernaut. This is his second year playing for them. And I know Dave Hall agrees and now says he's an intriguing piece who has outperformed his 7th-round draft slot. Canucks may have a player there. We'll see. He's playing against men in the Swiss League. You were just there, right? It's a pretty good league.
It's a good league. Yep.
It's a pretty good league because it pays pretty well. So we'll see where he goes from here. But that was a nice step-up tournament for a often forgot Canucks prospect.
Shades of EPD a little bit, a guy outperforming his draft slot. And, I mean, shades of, heck, Linus Karlsson, right? The guy that's just, you didn't really think much of at the moment, but climbs the ladder methodically, one rung at a time.
And speaking of Canucks prospects, we also need to shout here 2024 4th-rounder Riley Patterson. Now, Riley Patterson is a forward, a right shot center in the Ontario Hockey League with the Niagara Ice Dogs. And he was named the OHL Player of the Month for December. It was 19 points in 11 games, 7 multi-point games, 3 3-point games, 2 OT winners, and a league high 56 shots. He has 49 points in 35 games this year with the Niagara Ice Dogs, 22 goals. And this after putting up 59 the previous year in Barrie and 62 the previous year in Barrie as a draft prospect. There's some intrigue here. He turns 20 in March, so he's older. But nice to see Canucks prospects making some noise across the
Canucks
hockey world.
6th-round pick in 2024, Parker Elkos has been traded as well. I
saw that.
He's
having a local kid too, right? Port Moody.
He's having a career best year as well. He's a half point per game right now, and he's headed to Kelowna Rockets. So he's going to get a better chance to showcase his work.
May play in a Memorial Cup. 6'4" right shot defensive defenseman. Elkos is a 6th-round pick in the 2024 draft. Sansonen was also part of that 2024 draft. So there you go, 3 guys from that draft class. And it was a small one because the Canucks didn't pick till the 3rd round. And they moved that guy, Melvin Fernstrom, on to Pittsburgh in the Marcus Pettersson deal. So the other guy in that class is our boy Anthony Romani, who's 14 points in 18 games with Michigan State. So he's having a decent freshman year there. He's older than your typical freshman. He's 20 years old. But who knows? They may actually get a player from a small 5-player draft class, one of whom's already been traded away. Before we leave the juniors, Blake, we have to talk about Canadian defenseman Zane Parekh.
Oh, gosh.
Calgary Flames 1st-round pick. Forced to apologize and walk back comments about being able to be himself and show personality at the World Juniors, which he can't do in the NHL with the Flames because NHL guys be robots and don't show personality. This is absolutely, here is why hockey continues to trail the rest of the sports in terms of marketing, promotion, and bringing more people into the tent, under the tent, or into the rink, if you will.
First of all, he did not even say he was talking about his teammates. He said guys in the NHL. He could have been talking about guys.
When I'm in Calgary, I definitely have a lot of guys that are telling me to give really simple answers.
Right.
So what he's saying is he was being told, no tall poppy here, son.
Yeah.
Well, Carey, you're a first-round pick, offensive defenseman, have that flair, have that flair. You don't go talking to the media and trying to be a brand and market yourself. We can't have that here with the Calgary Flames.
You mentioned Rick Westhead's book, We Breed Lions. No, we breed frickin' lambs. Like, really? That hurt your feelings, did it? And I saw a couple of...
You better not get any shine. We're trying to finish 30th in this league.
And I saw a couple of comments. The media shouldn't have made such a big deal about this. It got him in trouble.
Bullshit.
The media applauded.
Far and wide.
The media said, good for him to have a personality, to be
love
himself.
the kids with personality.
And now he's being cut down and told to fall in line and be a robot too. Like, it's preposterous. And it's a shame that... and there's a few in media that were like, "Oh, this is the right thing to do." Like,
no,
give me a break.
Like the speed at which the response came from the Flames room and management was like a military exercise.
Yeah,
they were on the phone with Eric Francis and Pat Steinberg and some of the local guys who cover the Flames. How dare he?
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said? We've got to let him know that that's unacceptable.
Well, you can
imagine. His answer yesterday is, I think some things got spun out of proportion, probably worded things wrongly, but obviously it wasn't my intent in the words I said, and I sincerely apologize to the Flames organization and my teammates. At the end of the day, that's not acceptable, and that can't happen. No, son.
It's not
the turnover in front of your goal.
Worry
you're
about
protecting
that.
a
Worry
lead,
about that.
That can't happen.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
Oh, it's so disheartening.
And we so need a new commissioner.
And the swiftness of the reaction.
Everybody license to be themselves, show personality, show the outside world that you are human and have some connective tissue relatability to the greater public.
We've both seen the movie. I can imagine how media comms people for the team were like, oh my God, they're onto us. Now they know that we have company lines, that we have talking points.
We tell them to give short answers when they're young kids.
Like,
which, of course, they do.
Yeah.
One of the refreshing things about Braden Coots actually gave some really coherent, smart, informed answers. Both with Canada here at the World Juniors and when he was with Canucks camp.
And again, why it's
some
important?
of the others, especially the young ones from other countries where the language is an issue or a little bit of a barrier or a hurdle to begin with. Oh, man. No, I mean, has Nils Höglander ever given an interview where he's said anything?
And why is it important? Because guys that do are selling the game. Guys that do talk, like Kevin Bieksa sold the game as a player.
And sold himself, too, into a marvelous post-hockey career.
And we can get into the fine details of even a guy like Ryan Kessler. But the speaking, the adding color to the experience sells the game.
Jake DeBrusk, fantastic.
Yeah.
And look, here's the thing. If you're not comfortable in that spot, if you don't like public speaking, if you don't like having to answer questions, you've got a lot of rope. You've got a latitude not to do it.
Yeah.
There's 22 other guys in the room.
But let's not shit on the guys that want to.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
What a huge day for the Vancouver Giants yesterday. They make 4 trades.
Happened just a second ago. They just traded their captain, Ty Halliburton, just now.
And now they made 5 trades.
Yeah.
They sent out their first, 4th, and 5th leading goal scorers, their top pair defenseman, another defenseman, for a top 4 defenseman, an upcoming first-round pick in the 2026 draft, and a top 6 winger, plus picks, and plus whatever else they've done here.
Yeah, I don't have the return for Halliburton yet, but he's going to Cologne as well, by the way, with Parker Alkos, incidentally.
Top scorer Cameron Schmidt goes to Seattle for a defenseman and up to 5 picks. Schmidt was a Dallas 3rd-round selection. He had some first-round buzz about him. He slid. He's itty-bitty. I did hear from one scout there were some attitude issues there as well. But he's having an absolute banger of a season for the Giants. I mean, he's been extraordinary this year. And I saw Regan Bartel out of Kelowna wonder, interesting move for Seattle to acquire a marquee player in Cameron Schmidt, Yet they're rumored to be moving Braden Coots. Is the fear Coots will play in the NCAA next season? Schmidt won't, or would Coots fall into the new rule of one 19-year-old playing in the AHL next season? That's the thing. These WHL teams now are having to jockey and deal with the possibility that some of these kids want to go off and play NCAA hockey next year, and so you're not going to get them back at 18 or 19 or whatever the case may be, not to mention the new 19-year-old AHL rule. So brave new ground here for
really
CHL general managers, is that they have to mitigate their deadline with future plans, and not just their own future plans, but the future plans of players who at one time were beholden to their franchise, right?
Yeah. No, it is.
Now those kids have options.
It's a very interesting, I would say, 3 or 4 year transition period that we're going to see here for the CHL
sure.
and college hockey, and how it all settles.
Yep. Also, the Giants acquire forward Mathis Preston from Spokane. Now, he's Penticton born. He's nearly a point per game. And draft evaluators are a little bit all over the map with him, other than most everyone have him as a first-round pick. Now, some think he's like a top 5 guy. Others think he's somewhere in the 20s. We have talked to Cam Robinson about him. We'll talk to Cam tomorrow. He's traveling back from the World Juniors. And the Giants also acquire Lake Country's Joe Aginla, the son of Jerome, from the Edmonton Oil Kings. They move defenseman Colton Allain to Swift Current for a second-round pick. And then the news here today of yet another trade. The deadline is Friday, but of course, midweek you oftentimes aren't playing games in the WHL, CHL. People want to get their ducks in order for the next weekend, the slate of games on the weekend.
They just got 4 Ty Haliburton and 2 picks. So this is an acquisition. This is sort of adding to the team. They get Will Sharp, Los Angeles Kings defenseman, and a Ladner boy comes home to the Vancouver Giants. He's got 16 points in 31 games in back-to-back years.
Yeah.
With the Kelowna Rockets.
And Cameron Schmidt, I should mention, he's 60 points in 39 games, 27 goals. He was 40 goals and 78 points last year, so he is on pace to go shooting past those totals. 94th overall to Dallas in 2025. Born in Prince George, British Columbia. They list him at 5'8", 158. Probably not even that. And then lastly, we were both absolutely delighted to see this. We knew it was a matter of when, not if. I had spoken to him just before Christmas in Hanukkah. But former Sekeres and Price contributor and former Canucks assistant general manager Lawrence Gilman has a new gig in the National Hockey League. He is the new vice president of hockey operations for the Columbus Blue Jackets, where he will work hand in hand with Don Waddell. Just the role there in Columbus, Don Waddell does do some of the business side, and Donnie has done this before in his past with Carolina and with Atlanta. So I think it's actually going to be a more forward hockey role than the title would suggest for Gilman. I
think it's a great title.
I also wonder if there's a world where Lawrence is actually going to be doing media for the team.
But Matt, considering he's been out of the NHL for a few years now,
a couple.
Since he was seen really for the Leafs, it's been at least a couple.
It was another year before that. Because at one point he was dispatched on the
basically just on Marley's duty. Yeah,
right.
So for him to jump into a VP of hockey ops, I think it's a great.
Yeah, no, it is.
That's a great landing spot.
It is. And this position became available when Josh Flynn, who was an AGM there in Columbus, who worked formerly under Jarmo Kekalainen there in Columbus, he jumped to the Buffalo Sabres after Kekalainen took the job, replacing Kevin Adams there last month. So knew that Columbus was eyeing Lawrence as a executive managerial hire should anyone in their operation leave or should changes be made. And sure enough, it's taking place. So congrats, Lawrence. All right, time now.
I said indeed, yes.
Mm-hmm. Blake and Lawrence get along very well.
Yes, so do you.
Everybody gets along with him.
Yes,
It's hard.
exactly.
He's one of those guys, like, if you don't get along with him, you look in the mirror because it's not him. It's you.
One of my favorite steak dinners ever was,
Oh, my goodness, at the Palms.
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
good times.
When you're on those sales guys' budgets, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to pay. Some sales guy is paying. Would you like the lump crab? Sure. Yeah, I'll take the lump crab on the steak. Yeah, tonight, for sure.
Onto the plate with a shovel.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was just a lump.
American servings.
American steakhouse service.
Yes, that particular, yes.
Dear God. All right. Having a party at Gret on Saturday, a watch party, and then a live edition of Rink Wide Vancouver after the final horn from Toronto. Come on down to 50 West Cordova and join in the fun, the activities. J-Pat, merry bunch of Canucks Army folks, David Quadrelli, and others. We usually have some fun, play some trivia in the intermissions. Of course, they have the Bitchin' Arcade that surrounds the bar. Awesome game day deals on the street food menu. Try the smash burger. It's delicious. Come on down to Greta. Saturday watch party. Doors at 3, opening 4, puck drop 4, 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. Darren Dreger's going to join us. Talk to Darren about the state of Canadian hockey. Also talk to him about Kiefer Sherwood, Evander Kane, Elias Pettersson. Is there a non-zero chance of Petey being moved?
Find out that answer.
And the Jake DeBrusk rumor coming out of the Alberta Capital. Later in the program, we will get into, well, the Seattle Seahawks don't know their playoff opponent, but they know their 2026 opponents. And a rivalry game down under? Are you kidding me? Divisions, who's better, who's best? Some great Seahawks of years gone by hanging it up in the NFL. Lions DB Robert Carter Jr. is getting some interest south of the line, plus some Canadians or some British Columbians and some Whitecaps make the next edition of Canada's men's national soccer team. And year-end awards for Canadian athletes, all that coming up later in the program. Time now for our Bet365 bets of the day. And Mr. Price, I did win yesterday.
Did you?
Well, we got the win because Ivar Stenberg tucked home an empty netter with seconds to play. Remember,
Wow.
So we got the win on the Sweden -1.5. We did not hit the over because it was 6.5. So I don't know if you want to consider that a win or.
You can go. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, I'm not the first to say it. The Vancouver Canucks go out on a 6-game road trip, and, well, you know they're going to win one of these, right?
Yeah, they're a good road team.
Or all of them.
They're a good road team. Yeah.
Buffalo had the 10-game winning streak. It came to an end. The Canucks are a reasonable bet, just straight up on the money line, a +140. They got to Buffalo yesterday. They had a practice yesterday even. I know they got some guys missing in the lineup, but they also got some young, hungry guys right now. Give me the Canucks +140.
What I like about that is mediocre teams that go on long winning streaks, there's generally a crashing to earth after the winning streak. Good teams that go on, like if the Avalanche win 10 in a row, I don't think they necessarily have to lose 4 in a row right after that. But when a middling team goes on a 10-game winning streak, I think they might come crashing to earth immediately after.
Did you see Colorado lost its third game in regulation in its 41st game against Florida?
It's embarrassing.
Like no other team had gone 40 games with just 2 regulation losses, or one other team.
You know what also is crazy? And I don't think the Bet365 would have this for any other team. The Vancouver Canucks have the Bet365 has Kiefer Sherwood, the Canucks' leading goal scorer.
Yeah, they don't want to price him yet.
As a +300 anytime goal scorer behind the likes of Pettersson, Besser, DeBrusk, and Kane. All those guys get smaller numbers than the guy who leads the team by 7 goals. with 17 on the season. So take Sherwood, and you can cheer it on because it'll probably further the price in a trade as well. Cheer it on for more than one reason. Kiefer Sherwood plus 300 anytime goals.
This segment, a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game. Use code NATION when doing so. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Darren Dreger coming up next. Sekeres and Price from the historic Wall Center.
And the segment brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid. It's a no-compromise approach to an electric vehicle. But Blake, you said hybrid. I know, but it can be an electric vehicle if you want. Plug it in overnight. Every night you wake up to 72 kilometers of range. And you just keep it on e-car, and it's an electric vehicle.
Till you need gas.
You run errands, you go to the grocery store, you take the kids to school.
Hockey practice.
All on an electric vehicle. You have an appointment on the island? It's okay. Kick it over to hybrid. You're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a no-lose proposition.
Pretty car, too.
Fun to drive. And the only way you're going to find that out is by going to your Pacific Toyota dealer. Right now, you know that you can get a good deal on it. The lease of a 2026 SE is from $109 weekly at 3.99% APR for 64 months with $3,300 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca. Or, more importantly, visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer.
And we're joined now by TSN Hockey Insider, one half of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. It is our friend. Happy New Year to Mr. Darren Dreger.
Hey, guys. Happy New Year. I guess, we're doing this on Tuesday, January 6th. When does the statute of limitations kick in on saying Happy New Year?
The rest of the week.
Like it's, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I'm good with that.
I believe we're already late in the Larry David curmudgeon world.
But this is the first business week post
That's right.
holidays.
Exactly.
So I think you say it all week.
I'm greeting all of our guests this week with a Happy New Year, right up and through Friday. So take that, Larry.
I'm good with that. I'm all good with that. That's fine.
Now, Darren, as many know, grew up in rural Saskatchewan. And in fact, his parents owned a bar in the rural Saskatchewan, and there was a post yesterday on social media showing the place, and it hasn't changed much from, back in the 70s, I guess, Darren, when your family was there. But, of course, these little towns on the prairies, Darren, they used to develop fantastic hockey players. Bobby Clark from Flin Flon, Manitoba, Gordie Howe from Floral, Saskatchewan, on and on it went. And here's the thing. They could just be really great in their minor hockey associations, and they would keep getting the attention of more and more hockey people. Oh, this guy's good. He should play this level. He should play this level. And onwards and upwards it went. Hey, Trevor Linden, growing up on a farm in Medicine Hat, Alberta. Mm-hmm. We're asking on our poll question today, Dregs, are you worried about the state of Canadian hockey in the realm of the World Junior team, now going 3 years without a gold medal? But if you go a little deeper onto the grassroots, holy cow, is it expensive to stake a young kid on a potential professional
And Darren's
hockey
a great guy to
exhibit.
ask because you've had a son play at a very high level. You've gone through sort of the modern framework. So you can sort of speak to it both ways. Let us know.
So I remember Ken Campbell, and this going back probably 15 years ago, he wrote a book talking about the expense of minor hockey. And, I'm not quoting the chapter or whatever, but I remember him referencing, would you believe that there are some families that pay as much as $20,000 for their sons or daughters to play high level hockey? And I reached out to him. I'm like, Kenny, you're not even close. Yeah. You're not even close. And, that would probably be, again, 10 years ago. And my son at the time was probably playing minor bantam, maybe Pee-wee AAA. And at least in Eastern Canada, when you're playing Pee-wee AAA, well, the crown jewel is the Quebec Pee-wee International Hockey Tournament. And if you're fortunate enough as a team to qualify to get into that, well, it's just incredible. But it comes with incredible expense. I mean, you're there for 10, 12, almost 2 weeks, So that's on top of the dues, and that's on top of the price of equipment, and that's on top of, when my guy was in his heyday, and I mean, he was drafted by the Sioux Greyhounds in the Ontario Hockey League in a late round. It's not like he was destined to be an NHL player. He wasn't. But I remember in bantam, and certainly his minor midget year, but at least bantam, maybe Pee-wee. So you pay your dues, you've got your equipment costs. At one point, he was taking private skating lessons with Barb Underhill. And he had an additional skills coach on top of that, right? So we were shelling out in the neighborhood of probably $250 a week in additional coaching on top of everything that you do back then. So I read it, and look, I mean, anybody listening to this is, well, that's on you as a parent. Why do you have to pay that? You don't, when 1% of minor hockey players actually find their way to the National Hockey League, something along those lines. But you're in it, right? And I was that dad who wanted to give my son, my kids, every opportunity to succeed. Didn't push them to be NHL players. I just said, okay, here are the resources. So that's probably why, the registrations for Hockey Canada, I mean, we've all seen the data, the numbers are diving and all of that. It has to be connected. Not just the sole factor, but in a big way connected to the investment required.
Do you think that there is there's two different issues here? One is Canada has not been great at the World Juniors. One is dwindling Canadian ice hockey registration,
especially boys.
Yes,
boys.
Are they connected? Those two issues? Because I have no doubt. There's a Topher Scott tweet that's going crazy right now. And I don't dispute what he says in it. I think it is an issue. The cost most certainly. And, there's a million different options now. Soccer's burgeoning. It's stealing some players, perhaps. All that sort of stuff. But is that tied to the World Junior issue?
It isn't for me. It isn't.
Yep.
And, maybe we just give credit to Sweden, to Czechia, to Finland, who always ices a very, very competitive team. And these countries who have found a way to play a North American style and found a way to morph their high-level skill into that style. And, I mean, anybody who watched the medal round of the World Junior Championship could see that. I mean, Czechia had more bite. They were harder on the forecheck. They defended better than Canada, and their skill ultimately prevailed. Now, is that an indictment on where Canada is as a developing hockey nation? I don't think it is. I don't. I mean, you look at the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup final in the last couple of years. Did they have the skill to win the cup? Of course they did. They went to Game 7 last year. Probably, if you boil it down, it was the commitment and the attention and detail and all the cliche stuff that, the depth of the Florida Panthers that prevails. All right, so I have time for us to question the style that Canada played. And I'm not being critical of the coaching staff. I think that they put the highest skilled team together that they had access to, right? Now you can coach these kids and say, all right, you're a bottom six forward. Here's how we need you to play. You're a penalty killer. Here's how we need you to play. You're not a defensive forward in any of your respective leagues, but we need you to be that here. Well, the way that these kids have developed now in the last decade especially, I don't think they're wired for that. Doesn't mean that they just throw it out the window and say, no, I'm not interested in winning. Of course they are. They might feel like they're playing defensive, but by the standard that they play in their respective league where they're achieving high success, maybe they're not. So I think it boils down to more of a commitment and a style than it does to the path that Canada is on. And it's not our God-given right in this country to put the gold medal around our neck at every event that we strap into. That's just not the case anymore, globally speaking.
No, look, the cost is a big thing, and even our buddy Farhan Lalji was tweeting about that last night. We've known his son Luke for his whole life, and he talked about how when his son wanted to prioritize football, he said great, because he knew eventually he would have to tap out financially in terms of financing the hockey journey. The other thing that I think plays into this, Dregs, in terms of kids playing hockey, there is far less outdoor hockey. And this was always a big Canadian advantage as well. You could play for free for hours on end at outdoor rinks. 15 years ago, I was doing a story back in my newspaper days on Andrew Ference, the NHL defenseman who was really pushing environmental advocacy through the ranks of the NHL, and spoke to David Suzuki, who said, it'd be impossible these days for Walter to build Wayne, that famed backyard rink, because it doesn't get cold enough in Brantford, Ontario through the winters to be able to sustain ice. Growing up in Ottawa, Dregs, it was never a question if the Rideau Canal was going to be skatable in January and February. Of course it was. People tell me they used to skate here at Vancouver's Lost Lagoon, which is just absolutely mind-blowing, unthinkable to me. So one of our great advantages of being able to get out there and just play for free, too, is being taken away from us coast to when you're unable to skate on like huge pads like the Rideau Canal and Lost Lagoon, as previous generations of Canadians did, you're taking a lot of people out of the skating game.
No, I get that. And the costs attached to that are ultimately incurred by the families. You know, I don't know what it costs now for an hour of ice in Southern Ontario in the GTA. I'm going to guess it's anywhere between $350 to $500 an hour. Yep. You know, that's what it is.
Is that what it is here, Blake?
Yep. Yeah. So to your point, if you don't have the resources as a team to cover that, what are your kids left with? There's no free skating anywhere. And look, I don't want to dive into a whole hockey conversation about this, but I always know, we had a backyard rink for most of my son's developmental years, from 4 years old till 15, 16 years of age. And it was funny to me. It wasn't funny. It was legit. You know, when the backyard rink came into play, so, literally it was cold enough, to your point, Matt, where you could go out there, normally mid to late December. His game went through the roof. Hey, he'd be scoring goals. He'd be doing things that you didn't see in the first 15, 20 games of the year. Yep. And I once asked him, I'm like, why do you think that is? Aside from the obvious, you're touching the puck, you're doing things around the net that you wouldn't do in a practice or might not do in a game. And he just said, because I'm able to do what I want to do. I'm just out here having fun. That's all I'm doing. I'm shooting a puck the way I want to shoot the puck. I'm doing things like the Michigan that would just never be acceptable in AAA hockey. But just look, one more thought on all this. Here's what bugs me about it. We in the media always grab the low-hanging fruit. We do, and we're all guilty of it, right? So I'm somewhat amused by just the flow of people who otherwise don't comment on the cost of playing minor hockey or the issues around the development of these young hockey players, unless they feel that there's a reason to comment on it. I don't think winning a bronze medal for Canada is reason for people who never talk about the cost of minor hockey in Canada to dive on Hockey Canada and dive on, associations across this country, because they wouldn't do it otherwise. Let's get into the cost of some of these other sports. Dance. You want to talk about dance and how much it costs? Figure skating. Come on. It's because hockey draws the eyeballs and gets the clicks. That's why.
You can make the argument about
There are a lot of sports that are expensive.
Sport.
The World Juniors does
Yeah.
tend to serve as a catalyst for these sorts of
But
discussions.
unfairly so.
We all do it. Fairly so, yes.
Once a year, is it not healthy to take a look at our national sport and how it's doing? Yeah. Like I'm A-okay with that. And if the World Juniors serves as a convenient barometer for a lot of people, then so be it.
But why do you think Brendan Shanahan was just brought on in the new role that he has with Hockey Canada? It's not to clean up junior hockey or change anything. He was brought in to review some of the areas of concern. And I will tell you this because I've lived it, and I know that it's one of the primary areas of concern. It's not major junior hockey. Major junior hockey gets an unfair rap for how they treat these kids. And, everybody assumes that these kids are sitting in their basement playing video games when they're not on the ice practicing or playing games. That's not the way it is anymore. They take mandatory courses. They've got a mandatory education that they have to adhere to. Otherwise, you have no shot at the NCAA. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Shanahan was brought in to look at the lower tiers, to review what's going on in the BC Junior League isn't under the umbrella of Hockey Canada anymore. But I look at all those that are, including the Ontario Junior Hockey League. And when my guy was coming up to there, would you believe there were families paying over $10,000 a year for their kid to be aligned with that OJHL team. In certain situations, that kid never hit the ice. He didn't play. But his family thought, it's cool that he's got that uniform. And he gets to practice for $10,000 a year. So those are the areas that Shanahan has been brought in to review and offer some suggestions if needed.
Let me ask you one last question on this, because following up on your talk about the coaching of the players at the World Juniors. And I'm hoping the answer is not yes, but do we have to stop this pendulum of skill that we started? Like, we kind of copied Europe a little bit and started to say, hey, try the Michigan, do the creative stuff, be offensive. Is somebody going to say the pendulum has now swung too far in that regard and we're going to have to get back to meat and potatoes? Is that going to be a reaction to this?
I think in certain arenas of hockey, that'll be and I've heard that. I mean, again, I've mentioned this a couple of times today, and I don't want to name the name because I tend to agree with this person, former player. I just can't remember who it was. And his response was after the Czechia win in the semifinal that they out-Canada'd Canada. Right. In terms of everything that we've talked about, the forecheck and all of those things. Maybe there's something to that, Blake. Maybe there is. But look, I mean, Billy Guerin and to a degree, Doug Armstrong have been openly criticized for the main rosters that they presented for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And they didn't pick all-star teams. As Billy Guerin said, you don't need general managers to pick the team that some media and most fans want. You have to put the pieces of a puzzle together, and you're doing that because you expect to meet Canada in the medal round, or Sweden, or Finland, or Czechia. These are top teams. So you'd better be well-rounded and have all of your bases covered defensively on top of all of it to make sure that you're prepared. So, maybe that's the new approach for Team Canada on the World Junior front.
All right, let's move on to the Vancouver Canucks. Kiefer Sherwood, Dregs, is there a new approach here? Is there any chance of an actual contract extension here? And what are you hearing on the trade market and his price?
It's a weird market, to be fair, and it's not a quiet market. I don't want people to misunderstand. But Vancouver, as we know, made their big splash sending Quinn Hughes to the Minnesota Wild. So I think because, again, of how tight it is across the NHL and the need for, secondary scoring across the National Hockey League, that it's wise, the position that Patrick Allvin is taking here and just saying, okay, well, when the deal is right that is offered to us for Kiefer Sherwood, we will know. We will make that deal. What is it? Is it a first-round draft pick? Is it a prospect in a second? I don't know what the dynamic of that perfect equation is. But in the meantime, I think just doing your due diligence, you continue to keep the dialogue open with Judd Moldaver, who represents Kiefer Sherwood, and find out whether there is a sweet spot. The one thing that I think would maybe stand in the way of the Canucks extending Sherwood is Kiefer Sherwood deserves to get paid. and maybe overpaid based on where he's at in his career. Is Vancouver willing to do that? He's probably not. Probably not.
No.
Based on the direction they're going. They should be in a position where they want to squeeze every drop of juice via trade that they can get to make their team better for the future. And, maybe there is a perfect fit for Kiefer Sherwood on the trade front whereby, he goes as a rental, signs and extends, or he goes as a rental and then he's wide open to the pool that will be available in free agency. But there are two guys within the Canucks that I wouldn't say they're drawing a ton of interest, but people are paying attention to. And obviously Sherwood is one, and Evander Kane is the other one. But with all due respect to Evander, he's got the naysayers and he's got some the detractors that kind of seem to follow him fairly or unfairly. So it feels like he might be one that happens closer to the deadline, if at all.
Let me ask you this one. I'm surprising you with this one. It can be a short answer.
Uh-huh.
Is the probability of an Elias Pettersson trade 0 or non-zero?
A short answer, I'd say non-zero. And I that's not trying to drive a headline.
No, we know it's just low. Yeah.
It's low, but guys, I mean, when you trade away a piece like Quinn Hughes, and we don't have to go down that whole long list of reasons why they did it. The most obvious is they knew that Quinn wasn't going to extend there, but you still traded a world-class piece. So how can you absolutely close the door on any possibility moving forward? I just don't think you can. Now, it's the return has to be exactly what you need, whatever that looks like. But let's say a team like Carolina or another team circles back because they like what they've seen from Elias Pettersson this year and they're willing to re-engage. I mean, you're not doing your job as general manager if you just say, nope, not available. Vancouver can't afford to do that, I don't think.
We're hearing smoke out of Edmonton about Jake DeBrusk coming home, that the Oilers might be a landing spot if DeBrusk was willing to wave and go home. Picking up anything there? Is there a realm of possibility where Jake DeBrusk goes back and has dad call his games?
Yeah, well, every day there seems to be a rumor around the Edmonton Oilers. So it's Jake DeBrusk, and the other day it was Boone Jenner from the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, how is this happening? Like, where is Stan Bowman getting all the room to make these wonderful deals? And
That's it.
What assets is he using to make these deals? So I'm not here to dispel rumor. I'm occasionally amused by it, but then common sense kicks in. Okay, well, maybe. But I mean, because of the situation with DeBrusk and the Vancouver Canucks, I have poked around a little bit. Not Vancouver, to be fair, not sourcing out of Vancouver, more the interest from other teams that could or would be there. And I mean, a player of his significance definitely has an audience. There's no doubt about that. But there's been some criticism that follows along with that possibility as well. And, Jake is a streaky player, always has been, right? And the problem that some managers and coaches have with that is, okay, given his size and given where he's at and given his contract above all else, you can't do that. Like, if you're a non-productive player offensively, that's one thing. But he's got other attributes that he could use to be a more well-rounded player that the critics of his game don't see enough of. And so I think there'd be a market for him. I think Vancouver would like to move him. He does have the trade protection, but it's maybe not as cut and dried as some would think.
All righty, sir. Well, we'll let you get upon your day. That is Darren Dreger from McNutt, Saskatchewan, Blake. That is northeast of Esterhazy by the Manitoba border.
Everybody should have a visual
northwest
now.
of Inglis,
Manitoba.
Manitoba.
You're picking big landmarks here.
These are the biggest ones around.
Two great hamlets, Inglis, Manitoba, and McNutt, Saskatchewan. I once terrorized senior hockey. I think it was 14 when I made my debut with the McNutt Kings on natural ice, fellas.
Oh, yes.
We started the conversation there, and that's where he ended.
My home rink in Winnipeg was a natural ice outdoor rink.
There you go. Played outdoor league games. in his minor hockey association. Thanks, Drags.
Thanks, guys.
Sekeres and Price from the historic Wall Center and the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio, built by Arbor Lee. Big game downtown. Make it more than just a night. Make it a memory. Stay steps from all the action here at the Sheraton Vancouver Wall Center with an exclusive Sekeres and Price rate. Call 604-331-1000. Mention our show. Some blackout date supply based on availability. Well, the Seattle Seahawks, their playoff opponent is not set. We went over that yesterday. But their 2026 opponents are. This is, of course, one of the peculiarities of the NFL. You know who you are playing the next season the minute this season ends because, of course, it is based on record and
It's a formula.
rotational division intra-conference play. So they'll be home, of course, to the 49ers, Rams, and Cardinals, divisional. Cowboys, Giants, Chargers, Chiefs, Bears, Patriots. That's a good-looking lineup
and you're
right there,
happy
Blake Price.
because your team's coming.
Someone may make a trip to Seattle next year.
Yes.
I'm afraid you can only go 8-1 next year, Seahawks fans. But no, I mean, Cowboys,
A lot of Patriots fans in Vancouver.
Patriots, Chiefs, Chargers. Some good-looking teams.
And difficulty. I mean,
Yeah,
if these teams
it's
continue,
not easy.
particularly the Bears and Patriots, who surprised us this year, if they are good again next year, that's a hard schedule.
Away, of course, 49ers, Rams, Cardinals. Then Commanders, Eagles, Raiders, Broncos, Panthers. So we'll be playing the AFC West next year. So the L.A., KC, Denver, and Vegas, baby, for a little roadie. Here's the crazy thing. I really don't get this one. Our friend Captain Greg Bell of the Tacoma News Tribune reporting he's been hearing since the summer that there's a fair chance the Seahawks-Rams game, this would be the Rams home game, is going to be played in Australia in September.
Holy crap.
That is a freaking long way to go for a divisional game that this year, I mean, that's the regular season game of the year.
And Matt, people don't need to be reminded of this, but I'm in it so I can tell you, I'm almost a week back now from Europe, and I'm still getting over it. I woke up at 4:30 this morning, did not get back to sleep. These are professional athletes. They need to be finely tuned machines that don't have to deal with that. Never mind coming from yesterday back to today when they're coming home.
So I guess this is going to be in late September, and they'll get the bye thereafter.
Yeah, but still, as I said, you're still
you're
behind the eight
coming
ball.
back to play the next Sunday. Especially if both of them have to play somewhere other than the West Coast the next Sunday.
The only way that would
just
make
can't
sense,
be.
Matt, is you play a Thursday nighter, you play Sunday.
So maybe it's the opening Thursday nighter, and then you come back and play.
And you play Thursday night at home, in North America. You play Sunday the following Sunday in Australia, and then you get a bye week. That's the only way you could structure it.
Well, the other thing, I get that the LA Rams, and look, this is changing a little bit. They've been a good team. Aren't exactly the biggest home draw in the NFL. There's a reason why Jacksonville plays home games in London and in Europe.
But the Rams have the nicest stadium in the NFL.
Well, that's it. It's one of the nicest stadiums. They're one of the best teams.
Yeah.
I was very surprised to read that. I can't imagine that'll go over well with either franchise. News about this year's team, offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. He has been requested for an interview for the head coaching vacancy with the Atlanta Falcons. Coach Mike McDonald called it bittersweet. Happy for Clint. You always want to see a staff member move up in the world, but of course, possibility of distraction here now, right?
Yep.
Other thing we should say, Atlanta seemingly has cast a very wide net, so not sure how serious the candidacy of Kubiak is, but he's, needless to say, in tough. They're interviewing a lot of people there. Then there's this, Blake. 2 divisions this year making claims for the best division ever. The NFC West
Needless to say.
The first division to feature 3 teams with 12-plus wins. Of course, they have the Arizona Cardinals in their division as well.
Drags down the average.
The Arizona Cardinals are picking 3rd in the draft. The Arizona Cardinal, and just brutal end to the season there as well. They lost 9 straight, Blake. 3-14. Then there's the NFC North. Becomes only the second division in the Super Bowl era to have every team finish the season above 500. It's only the 3rd time this has ever happened, even pre-Super Bowl era, with the Minnesota Vikings getting a win on the final Sunday of the season. And it's only the second time that every team in a division, the NFC North, has a better record than a first-place team in another division. This, of course, being the 8-9 Carolina Panthers. Every single team in the NFC North would have won the NFC South.
Now, imperfect analysis because you have a different schedule,
of course.
All that stuff. But yes, still amazing.
Yeah. Previous time was 2022. Washington finished 8-1, 4th in the NFC East. They were better than 8-9 Tampa, who won the NFC South. And we must shout out here 3 people of Seahawks lore whom, Blake, we've been talking about for the entirety of this program, 14 years. We mentioned Coach Pete Carroll yesterday, sacked by the Raiders, probably has coached his final game. Mm-hmm. One of 3 coaches in history to win a Super Bowl and a college national championship alongside Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer.
Grandpa football.
Mm-hmm. Let's not forget Russell Wilson or Bobby Wagner. And I know the first guy's a little polarizing.
Yeah.
But a Super Bowl, 9 Pro Bowls, holds the NFL record for most wins by a quarterback in his first 9 seasons with 98. More fourth-quarter comebacks at quarterback than anybody since 2012. The only quarterback with a winning record in each of his 9 seasons. And he tied the rookie record for most passing TDs in the year 26 in 2012. He mentioned in the postgame Sunday that he tore his hamstring earlier this year and basically had to play through it because what else was he going to do? Just go on IR and end his career that way?
Did the Giants know?
Apparently, the NFL is now going to take a look at it because it never showed up on an injury report. So Russell got the Giants in trouble in his last act.
His mouth got him in trouble. No way.
And please tell me it was legit. Like, please tell me that Russell isn't goosing the injury.
Like, imagine that.
And then there's Bobby Wagner, who will be in Canton one day in the Hall of Fame. A Super Bowl champion. Someone has to explain this one to me. A 10-time Pro Bowler, but an 11-time All-Pro. How can you be an All-Pro and not be a Pro Bowler? There's fewer linebackers at All-Pro than there are in the Pro Bowl.
The opposite can be true, but
exactly.
Not that. Yes.
The only player in NFL history to intercept both Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of only 3 men in the history of the league to record 2,000 career tackles. The others are Ray Lewis and London Fletcher. And, of course, Fletcher is a Washington football team icon. He was in the post-game dressing room, Blake, locker room, presenting the game ball to Bobby Wagner as his teammates went absolutely crazy and celebrating him for achieving that mark. I got to admit, when Bobby had his second tour with the Seahawks a couple of years back and it didn't go so well, I thought he was washed. I thought he is done. It's really sad. It has to end that way. He went on to play pretty darn good football these last few years. So best to all of them in their retirements. And I'm not sure you saw this last night on TSN, Blake. The FCS College Football National Championship game. So this is the second tier of U.S. college football. A thrilling game that Montana State wins in overtime after Illinois State misses an extra point. Scores in overtime, but then misses the extra point.
To keep things going.
So Montana State wins it on a successful PAT. It is noteworthy because 2 BC Lions quarterbacks were in the stands cheering on their alma maters. For those of you on visual platforms, there's the photo. Travis Lulay, a proud Montana State grad, and Kevin Glenn, a proud Illinois State grad. Kevin from Detroit, still rocking the Tigers hat there. Very proud to be from Motown. I communicated with Travis earlier in the week. I said, hey, your school, best of luck to them. He's like, oh, we got to go. We got to go. We're going to have a blast going and watching the game. So there they are, looking terrific. Both of them in retirement. Kevin's been coaching, and Travis is a financial planner in Oregon.
Good for them.
I'm still surprised that Travis didn't go into coaching.
Yeah.
I still hope there's a world where Travis gets a whistle. And we see him back here in the CFL or in the NFL college football coaching.
He's so laid back,
He's such
though.
a coach, though. I mean, like, he was...
The intelligence is there for sure.
All of it, though. The leadership,
Yeah. But I just wonder if he doesn't have that fire to compete in retirement like some other guys might.
Well, the one thing I do know, Travis has three girls. I think Travis was wise enough to look around and see, okay, this is not a great profession for families.
Yeah.
Like, you spend a lot of time at the facility. There's a lot of time away from all the kids and their activities. And cool new feature from TSN that is launched here this week. They are tracking CFL players who get NFL workouts with the window opening here for CFL players to sign in the NFL. So you can go on tsn.ca and find an updated day-to-day list of who's working out. We can tell you Lions defensive back Robert Carter Jr., and we said there would be big NFL interest in Carter. I mean, the interceptions, the hits, the return game, he's full package here, plus he's young. He has worked out with both the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts. I have a feeling the Lions are going to lose Carter to the NFL. Canada Soccer, January training camp here before a friendly versus Guatemala.
Camp Poutine is what they're calling it.
Why is there friendly in Los Angeles on the 17th?
Because they want they just want, like, this isn't a competitive window. They just want regular standards.
Canada's team in Canada before the World Cup.
No one's showing up for this team. All due respect, no one's showing up for this team versus Guatemala. Like, they're not selling tickets for that. So,
okay, it's not exactly the A team either.
That's my point. Yeah,
they are going to take more of a developmental team. Surrey's Jeevan Bodwal of the Whitecaps is on the team, as is Rayanne Alumi, former cap Jaden Nelson, Ralph Priso as well after his fine work last year, and then Surrey's Joel Waterman of the now Chicago Fire in MLS.
Richie Lorena, former Whitecap as well. One of the few veterans on the team. Two interesting names to note here. And there's a 17-year-old as well, but we'll wait. Before we put shine on him, we'll wait a couple of years.
Yep.
But two names to keep. One is Alumi. He represented Tunisia this year.
That's right.
So
dual national.
So they're trying to convert Alumi, and they're also trying to convert 22-year-old Marcelo Flores, who plays for Tigres in Liga MX, yet to be capped by Canada. This would be a cap, but because it's still a U23 cap, it doesn't count. Because he's under 23, you can still change your allegiance. But the better he feels about his usage by Jesse Marsh. Like, if I'm Jesse Marsh, he's starting and he's playing a lot of minutes.
Oh yes, of course. Why not?
Like, you got to woo this guy because he's got the Mexican option. So he sat and watched the last window. No more sitting and watching for Marcelo Flores. You got to let him play. So those are two big names to watch as they try to convert him.
Another name there, James Pantemis. He's probably on the outside looking in, but as we've said, it's going to be a heck of a derby here to see who's the Canadian starting keeper and really who rounds out.
Yeah.
Where you're strong in goal.
And I'll throw one more name. Jason Russell Rowe has been a big part of Columbus Crew for a long time, part of the championship team, and has not been able to crack the Canadian men's national team for whatever reason. He's finally in here, and he would do well to back up his club performances with a good camp.
Want to shout out a local sportsman done well here. The Los Angeles Angels, needless to say, have had a rough go here. They are under new leadership. Former player Kurt Suzuki is their new skipper. And he's adding some CanCon to his coaching staff. Congratulations to Abbotsford's Derek Florco. He's been named an assistant hitting coach for the Angels in 2026. He's been serving in the organization since 2019 in a variety of roles in the minor leagues. He is known for his expertise in hitting, worked at an academy down in Seattle way. And before joining the Angels, he spent about a decade with the Abbotsford Cardinals program. So very well done to work your way up the ranks of baseball coaching and be on a major league bench this year for Abbotsford's Derek Florco. And I would advise him, find a seat near John Gibbons. I imagine that'll be the most entertaining seat in the dugout. Gibby is the bench coach there. And every day or moment spent around Gibby is a good day or a moment.
Yes. Well, it's a jovial one at the very least. Not a lot of serious energy there.
You're going to get your back slapped a whole lot.
Yeah.
He's going to slap you on the knee.
Maybe a couple punches on the shoulder.
Exactly. Lastly here, year-end awards, meant to get to this yesterday. Acknowledgements. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, as we mentioned early last month, he was the Northern Star Award winner, formerly the Lou Marsh for Canadian Athlete of the Year. He was also the Canadian Press Male Athlete of the Year. And he won SI Sports Person of the Year, which used to be a really big deal, Blake. I'm not sure where that stands now that the magazine has fallen off, but go back and look at the SI Sports People of the Year historically. It's a pretty illustrious list. Summer McIntosh, the Female Athlete of the Year from the CP for a third successive season or year. And the Team of the Year was baseball's Blue Jays. They severely outpointed Rachel Homan's curling rink, Mike. Sure, that's been brought up on the curling podcast you do?
Yeah, I think that's a travesty. Travesty.
Absolute travesty. Curling is big mad about this.
Huge deal in middle Canada.
Never mind that the entire country got swept up in Blue Jays mania. But, all right.
Have you seen what Rachel Homan has done on the Grand Slam Tour?
By the way, SGA is like the odds-on favorite to win MVP again this year.
Oh, he's just getting started. Like, he's going to have multiple rings and multiple MVPs. That team is not only loaded, but it stands to have another top 5 pick next year because of all the trades it's made. Like and this is a great draft, and it looks like Oklahoma City could be adding another, maybe not franchise player, but close to franchise player.
Like, there is a potential that SGA is sort of like Canadian sports Mount Rushmore quality of a player.
Blake, I would not be surprised if there was a day where we're saying Steve who in basketball because of SGA.
If he has 3 MVPs and an NBA title, he's amongst the most successful pro sports athletes in Canadian history.
Of course. Let me just correct myself. Oklahoma City has the Clippers' first-round pick. Right now, it would be 9th overall if everything went to plan. But the Clippers have played better ball here of late. It's been in the top 5.
Yeah.
And if it's a lottery pick,
who knows?
Yeah. Where are we? Poll question results from yesterday. Asked you if the Canucks pick first overall, who should they take? The options, McKenna, Stenberg, Verhoff, or other/trade. What won the poll?
Stenberg.
Percentage?
55.
48. McKenna with 40, Verhoff with 9. 4% of you said other or trade. Ricky, Stenberg's ability to evade pressure and skate away with the puck is very impressive at his age. Yeah, it is. So many things about him impressive. Adam says, I know McKenna didn't have a great showing at the World Juniors, but with the state of the Canucks, you have to take the bigger swing because he has the higher upside. Discussed that yesterday. Yes, Adam, that is a sound school of thought. Rob says, possible trade down 2 spots to the team that wants one of the top 3 guaranteed and still get Verhoff and their top grade A prospects. So the Galaxy Brain scenario
it's possible. Again,
presented
talk
yesterday.
To me in April.
And Big Galoo says, Verhoff is a 6'4" right shot D-man who can skate. That's my pick. McKenna faced adversity and struggled. Look at his abuse of the official penalty and misconduct. You don't want that on your team. Yeah, I hear you. I think NHL scouts would tell you Verhoff's skating has to improve.
Yeah.
I think he'd still play at this level because he's 6'4" and decent on the puck and has the length and the breadth and all that. But yeah, I think the skating has to improve for him to be everything he could be. Errors and omissions from yesterday's program. Oh my goodness, a long list.
Oh.
Frankie Corrado called Braden Coots a top 10 pick. He was top 15 pick. The Canadian goaltender, I mispronounced his name, Ivan Kovic.
Yeah. You were close. You said even Kovic, I think.
Mistake for me when I said the Canucks traded Jannik Hansen to the Sharks for a first-round draft pick. There was a conditional first-round pick involved in the deal, only if the Sharks won the Stanley Cup. But the return, and how could I forget, was Russian prospect forward Nikolai Goldobin. You didn't correct me in that moment? Talking about your boy, little Nicky? Who could forget that goal at Staples? Breakaway. Carmen and I in the stands jumping up and down. We're like, look at this. We have a fun new Russian kid.
Yeah. They can fool
Did
you.
not get better from there. Our friend, fan, audience member, Nostradamus in the Northwest Territories, Dennis Burke. We talked about him yesterday, just didn't mention his name. And then you were talking about McKenna and where he stacks up at Penn State. Yes, Penn State has a terrific first line, and he's not on it. McKenna is fourth in scoring on the team. So he's down lineup, but he's not that far down lineup. I believe that's it. Told you, big list. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on social, X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, live on many of those platforms, noon Pacific time. Weekdays will be 10 a.m. again on Thursday, but back to noon tomorrow. And, of course, please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about and keep it local.